Who were some of your main training partners growing up then? Like guys that you wrestled with a lot?
It changed a lot because, like you said, it'd be like older guys. So it'd be like freshmen wrestling a senior, and then they'd leave, and so I'd have to get some new guys. For the most part, my dad, Ben, on and off until like my last few years. Then it was like
Then you kind of beat him up.
consistent.
And it wasn't like...
No, honestly, I wasn't able to start taking Ben down like legit until college.
Yeah.
And then Mirasol is my senior year, Aiden Sinclair my senior year. Mainly like those guys at the end, towards the end. But my dad and I have been wrestling for, I mean, now, what I was saying, a couple of decades now. I mean, since I was little.
Yeah.
So
what makes that club so good? So many studs coming out of that now.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the same collective idea of like what they want to pass on to the kids. Like, it makes me remember it when I go and coach at clinics. Like the first coaching I had was coaching like 5 to 7 year olds. So like really little guys, and just knowing what they're pushing from that age on. It's, you know, it's more like kind of how my journey ended up, where I was kind of, I blossomed more later and got better later. Even my senior year, even until I started like, you know, beating guys on the national level. I feel like that's more the priority, right? It's like to enjoy it. Like to get there, you have to enjoy it. And I think Ben and my dad do a really good job of that. And obviously I'm biased because now there's 7 or 8 locations in the state. So I can't speak to the other ones, but even those other ones are all coached by guys. Now it's coached by guys that were coached either by Max or my dad or Ben, or Josh Wagner's up in Green Bay. He was on the team with Ben and Max at Mizzou. So it's just like a collective of like normal, well, I would say normal, but then also just like an idea of how kids should look at the sport. And I think it was a very good catalyst for what I'm doing here now at Penn State. Like it's just it was very hand in hand. And I think, you know, talking about like gratitude and stuff, it was just very easy to be grateful all throughout with my dad and Ben, and then being able to get coached by the best in the world, you know?
Right. You brought up a little bit that you were kind of a late bloomer as far as the results and the accolades go and stuff. So talk to me a little bit about, like, did you always believe that you were going to be where you're at now, or was it kind of a struggle, or what was the process like going from, you know, being a kid and getting into wrestling and then, you know, getting good towards the end of high school and now where you're at?
Yeah. And I feel like I don't want to say like a state title isn't good or anything. It's just like your own expectations for yourself, you know? And like, I didn't even place going into my senior year at Fargo. I went, I don't know, probably like 4-2 or something. And that was just like, oh geez, like that shouldn't be happening, you know? And then I took 7th at Super 32, losing to Sealy and Ferrari actually. And then after the season, like in Wisconsin season, then I was like, something kind of switched there. I felt like I started going like 2-a-days and get like really like, honestly, kind of like OCD about it, where if I hadn't worked out at least once, but like twice, I'd be like, I got to get in there. I got to get in there. And it was, so that was kind of a pullback I had to when I got here, pulling back like, okay, that might actually be hurting more. And I remember feeling it in my knees and everything. Like, it's hard to do that, without getting injured and stuff. Right. But, more in terms of, you know, like what your question was with the whole journey, I feel like, I don't know, it was more with my dad. My dad is really good with like sports psych. And so is Ben. But mainly, you know, Ben was more towards the end. So mainly my dad, you know, like just not a matter of just when, not if it's going to happen, you know? So just kind of keeping that in mind. And it's funny, we started about talking about with working out with my dad, and I remember it'd be like, okay, you lose in practice in whatever, stuff in a shot, and then it'd be like we'd work on that. And then it was honestly, it was really fun. Like I remember him making it fun in that sense, like, building the puzzle. Like it was that idea of building the puzzle and, the map is not the territory and stuff like that. That was like very early on being pressed, like building your arsenal of like being versatile. And I feel like that's now why I feel I can do that now.
Right. You had a good foundation of like creativity and just being
Yes.
able to like not be afraid.
Yes.
And then you started putting it together where like the results came,
Yes.
end of high school.
Yeah.